Hello, students. Welcome back to an English lesson. Um, for a change of taste, let's have some literature. Okay, let's begin some literature. But before we begin with the literature lesson, let me just get talking to you. Ideally, in a class, I would have asked you some questions, and I thought, why not? I can ask you the questions. Maybe I won't be able to hear your answers immediately, but I want you to really think about this. Now, we are all locked up in our homes during this lockdown period due to this spread of coronavirus. Yes, I hope none of you are stepping out, students. It's very important. But because we are in this lockdown period and we are in this house for so many days altogether, life has become very, very monotonous, isn't it? Monotonous means we are repeating the same things again and again and again. So life has become very, very boring. I'm sure. Maybe some people are trying to make it as interesting as possible. I'm very, very happy about that. If you are doing so, if you aren't, you should be doing certain things. If you read the newspaper, NIE, there are lots of things which are suggested that can be done from home. Besides that point, let's come back to what I was asking you. There are a lot of negative things which are there in this lockdown period. But I want to make a request today. I want you all to think about some blessings that you may be having during this lockdown period, which other people may not have. You're surprised? Blessings during lockdown? What does ma'am mean? No, exactly. I really mean that. What is the blessing that you have which other people don't have? I know you're not able to go to school, you're not able to go out to play, you're not able to move around, you're not supposed to visit anybody's house, you can't have friends over, no birthday parties. I understand all that, and there's so much of work at home. You need to help out mom and dad with the daily chores. All that said and done. Yet, there is something which you have, which lots of people do not have. Okay, fine. Think about it. I will give you a clue in the next slide. Here, now look at these pictures. What do they suggest to you? Okay, let me see. The first one is of a house. I'm sure all of you are taken back to those days when you use your first painting of a house. It is something very nostalgic, isn't it? It takes you down memory lane when you as a kid, or maybe even now, you love drawing this house. I love to draw this house personally. I'm not a very good artist, but this painting of a house makes me really want to take my colors out and my pencils and start drawing this house. It looks beautiful, isn't it? It looks like a perfect, beautiful house. In fact, I would like to own such a house. And the next to it is, I think there's a daddy, there's a mummy, there is a brother, and two sisters. And do they look happy? Of course, they look very happy. All of them are so excited and happy. And what could be the secret of their happiness? I wonder. What is it that they are so happy about? Now let's look at the third picture below. There is a house in the background, something similar to the house which we have seen up above in the painting of the house. And there is yet another family there. Oh, there is a grandmother and grandfather as well, and three kids and two parents. And do they look happy? Of course, they look very happy. They look very, very excited and happy. So, what am I hinting at? Have you got my point? Yes, I think you have. But let me try to, give it to you, because now you won't be able to answer my question. Let me tell you. Now, incidentally, when I was looking for a literature lesson to begin with, now for class 6, I just happened to see this poem called Home and Love. I repeat, the name of the poem is Home and Love, and it is so very, very relevant in today's times. So I thought, why not begin with that poem? So let me take you a little closer to the topic in the next slide. Now, the name of the poem is Home and Love. But I want you to think about this. Which is more important? Having a home is more important. Another picture of a home in front of you. Yes. Or is it love? So, first is home. Now, I can see it in today's world, if I relate it to today's time, there are lots of people who are homeless, who are out on the streets, and they are out in the open and they are fighting the coronavirus. Maybe they don't even have enough soap and water. Forget about sanitizers. Who's looking after them? There are so many millions of people all around in the world. It's not just affecting India, the COVID 19. It is all over the world. There may be so many people on the streets. They're out and they're so vulnerable and they may catch the disease. Vulnerable means somebody who can catch, who is very prone to something, who is not very strong. Opposite of strong is vulnerable. So those people are at a big risk. They are out on the streets. They don't have a home. Have you ever thought of that, students? Now, this is a beautiful picture with two kids cuddled up and snuggled with mummy. Yes. And do they look happy? Oh my God, they look overjoyed and they look so contented to be just around with mummy, isn't it? So, mummy gives a lot of love, maybe, just not maybe, mummy, even daddy for that instance. So, that shows that they are a happy family. There's a lot of love here in this picture. Now, suppose you don't have a home, but you have love. You have a family. Like, for example, out the people on the streets, they don't have a home as you would call a home. They may be having some tents, makeshift homes, but not the comfort of the home that you enjoy. But they do have a family. They have a loving mother. They have a loving father. They may be having even siblings, brothers and sisters. Do you think that makes them happy? Do you think that is enough? A home is not required? Think about it, students. We will come back to it. So, this is basically what the poem is all about: home and love. Or is it home or love? Okay. This is a picture where somebody like you and me, we are lucky to have both our home and a family which is full of love. Yes, think of even the doctors who are out on the streets, policemen, they are out on the streets. Now, I have a friend of mine whose husband is a policeman, and she has a small kid, a 4 year old kid. And she's so scared for her husband because he's out on the streets the whole day and he might be catching the virus. But at the same time, she is also worried about her 4 year old son who is vulnerable. So when she wants her husband to come back home and take rest and be safe whenever he can, whenever he is allowed off duty, though I wonder whether they really get some off. But when he comes home, she's scared for her son. She's worried that my little one will get the virus from, if he has combated the virus, the little one may be at risk. And there are aged people at home also. She has parents. So she is in a very, very difficult situation and fighting this. And that's why there are many people, you must be hearing in the news, there are so many neighbors who are objecting to doctors who are out on in the hospitals treating the COVID-19 patients. When they come back home, they're creating a big furore. All the house people in the complex, in the society, the flat, they're saying that this doctor may be bringing the infection home and the whole building may be at risk. So now the government has made some situations where the doctors are kept in separate guest rooms. Hotels have been booked where the doctors are not coming back home at all. They have been allotted separate rooms so that their families are safe. So can you imagine the blessings now? Now do you understand the blessing of having a home during this time? Students, all of us are cribbing that we don't have freedom to go out. We are not able to go out. We are not able to go to school. But I'm sure we are in a much better position than those people. Yes. Okay, the name of the poem is Home and Love, and the name of the poet is Robert Williams Service. Okay, this is a picture of the poet for you. At the same time, let me tell you that when you do your assignments, there I'm going to give you a hyperlink where if you touch that link, you will get the poem exactly how it is there in the book. Because I chose this poem, why? Because it is readily available in the net. I know you don't have books, so obviously you need the text, you need the poem in front of you. You will get it. But here, when I'm explaining to you, I'm going to do it stanza wise. So we will do the first stanza today. So I have the first stanza in this first video. The second stanza will be discussed in the second video, and the third video, we will have the third stanza and the entire poem summarized. Okay. So let's begin with the first thing, Robert Williams Service. Though he was born in England, Preston, his father was a banker, and Robert became a banker too at the age of 15, 1-5. What is your age? He was a banker at that age. In 1896, he emigrated to Canada. So he moved permanently. Emigrated means when you shift to some other place. So he moved to Canada and moved to California after that. Some years later, while living in Yukon, he was inspired to write poems. Suddenly, he got this inspiration. A person who was always in the banking profession. And once he started writing lots of poems, a publisher suddenly found his poem very interesting and decided to publish it. So his first book of poems, Songs of a Sorrow, was published in 1908. That's quite late in his life. Can you see how old he might have been at that age? Calculate. The poem Home and Love is from a collection called Rhymes of a Rolling Stone. Rhymes of a Rolling Stone is the name of the collection, of which Home and Love is just one poem, which we are going to do today. So Robert Service died in 1958. He was honored in 1976 on a Canadian postage stamp because he was a part of Canada. So that was the country's tribute of paying this poet a tribute. Okay. Okay, the name of the poem, Home and Love, by Robert Williams Service. Just home and love. We need to stop here. There is an exclamation mark. Yes? So let me read it again. Just home and love. The words are small, 4 little letters unto each, and yet you will not find in all the wide and gracious range of speech two more so tenderly complete. Yes? So, look at the beginning of the poem. What a beautiful beginning. Just home and love with the exclamation mark. So here the poet is very, very clear about the words home and love, and he is not hiding his excitement. All of us are putting on a mask during COVID-19. We are all expected to wear a mask to safeguard our mouth and nose. Yes, here the poet's feelings are totally unmasked. He is not at all hiding his excitement at the mere at the mere at the mere mention of the words home and love. Just by the words home and love, he feels very thrilled. So just home and love. The words are small, 4 little letters unto each. So each of these words are of 4 letters. And they're very small words, little words. Home, love, 4-word letters. Yet, he says, these are small little words, 4 letters each, and yet you will not find in all the wide and gracious range of speech. People may have said many, many beautiful things. Lots of speeches you might have heard all around in this world. So many people might have said so many beautiful lines, they might have recited beautiful poetry, beautiful speech, but there aren't any more two words who can be so sweet and so tender and so complete than home and love. He says no two words can give us more happiness, and can be no two words which can be more complete than the words home and love. So now, this is the mood of the poem that begins. It begins with this mood. He is on a very, very high. Josh kaisa hai sir? Hi sir. Yes. So it's exactly like that. The poet is exhilarated. He's very, very excited just by the word home and love. So here in this poem, the very poem that this poem is talking about simple things like home and love. It attributes simplicity, a kind of godliness. Yes. So the entire atmosphere which is created is one of joy, one of goodness, and very optimistic, very, very optimistic. Yes. So that is what we need to understand, that in this poem, such a simple thing of home and love can bring so much of joy. And he says, nothing can be more meaningful and more complete and sweeter than home and love. We all know home, sweet home, isn't it? Yes. Why? Because there is love in home. Now, the second part of the first stanza, when angels talk in heaven above, I'm sure they have no words more sweet than home and love. So here he talks about angels, he talks about heaven, and he talks about home and love again. So here the simple words home and love have been given a godliness, which I told you. There is a biblical reference here. So I'm sure Robert Service was a Christian, and so he believed in angels, he believed in heaven, and he believed in home and love. And he says that even angels, when they talk in heaven, I'm sure they find these words, home and love, the sweetest. Even angels cannot have any other word which is sweeter than home and love. That means he feels that home and love is heavenly, is absolutely heavenly, and he attributes godliness to home and love. Clear, students? Now, that was the first stanza for you. The poem creates an optimistic atmosphere right at the outset. At the outset means at the beginning. Home and love are two small words, but their significance is very, very deep. No two words can give us more happiness than these. Home and love are both two crucial aspects of our life, means very important aspects of our life. Now, here, alliteration. I will come to details at the end of the lesson. We will do alliteration once more, but I'm just asking you to have a look at it. If you see the poem, if you have a print of the poem, or if you can have the poem in your laptop on the soft copy of the poem, you will see that little letters, 4 little letters. Now the word little and letters both begin with L. Now when you have two letters, two words placed side by side, beginning with the same letter, consonant sound is also the same, then that is called alliteration. For example, little letters, get you. You get the year sound here, and here you get the l sound. It's repeated. So here it says 4 little letters, and yet you will not find in all the wide and ranges. So therefore, these are the alliterations. Okay. Here I've got alliteration explained to you again. When similar sounds are repeated in a line of poetry or prose, we call it alliteration. The sounds are usually those of consonants, and they occur especially at the beginning of words. So that's why little letters, yet you, are alliteration. When we go through the poem, there are more alliterations. We will come across them. Okay, so next time you will be able to identify yourself. Clear?